What happens when a Hollywood star, known for humility and humanity, faces a host who knows no boundaries in her questions? This moment on Lorraine Kelly's show became one that viewers will never forget. No one in the studio, either the audience, the producers, nor Lorraine herself, was prepared for what happened next. It wasn't just a conversation, it was a television drama that sparked global discussions. Keanu Reeves, beloved by millions, appeared on Lorraine Kelly to promote his new film, another installment in a cult franchise where he plays an unstoppable hero. But what began as a routine interview quickly escalated into a tense confrontation, revealing deep human values and prompting the question, where is the line between entertainment and humiliation? The studio of Lorraine Kelly was bathed in the warm glow of spotlights, creating an almost homely atmosphere. The live audience buzzed with anticipation. Keanu Reeves, a Hollywood legend, was about to take the stage. Light music played through the speakers, and cameras hummed, tracking every movement. Lorraine, in her signature vibrant outfit, smiled at the audience, clutching her notes. Her energy was infectious, and the crowd responded with laughter and applause to her quips about morning routines. The studio doors opened, and Keanu Reeves stepped out. His entrance sparked a wave of applause. Dressed in a simple black t-shirt, jeans, and sporting a gentle smile, he looked like someone who didn't seek attention but inevitably drew it. Lorraine stood to greet him, and they exchanged a friendly handshake. The audience cheered even louder as Keanu waved, nodding modestly. "Keanu, welcome!" Lorraine beamed, gesturing for him to sit on the plush sofa. "You know how much we love you here in the UK. You're practically a national treasure." Keanu chuckled, his voice soft but sincere. "Thanks, Lorraine. That's very kind of you." The atmosphere was light, almost festive. Lorraine started with innocent questions about the new film, how the shoot went, which stunts Keanu performed himself, and how he prepared for the role. Keanu answered with his trademark humility, sharing amusing stories from the set. The audience laughed when he recounted accidentally breaking a prop chair during a fight scene. Lorraine seemed delighted, her eyes sparkling as she flipped through her notes. But something in her smile shifted, a subtle glint that only the most observant noticed. The cameras zoomed in, capturing her every gesture. The producers backstage exchanged glances, sensing that Lorraine was about to spring something unexpected. The audience, still smiling, had no idea that the friendly chat was about to take a sharp turn. "So, Keanu," Lorraine leaned forward, her voice taking on a sharper edge. "Everyone knows you as this incredibly nice guy. Hollywood's kindest man, that's what they call you, right? But I have to ask, is it all genuine? Or is it just an image you've crafted for the public?" The studio fell silent. The audience, which had been laughing moments ago, froze, exchanging startled glances. Keanu raised his eyebrows, his smile fading slightly, but he maintained his composure. "Well," he began, choosing his words carefully, "I just try to be myself. I don't think it's an image. I'm grateful for people's support, and I like doing what I can to help." Lorraine nodded, but her eyes narrowed, and her smile took on a hint of sarcasm. Of course. But you know, some people say all this kindness is just a marketing ploy. Like you're hiding something. Maybe personal issues? Or are you just avoiding serious topics to protect your image?" Keanu leaned forward, his hands clenching on his knees. His face remained calm, but a flicker of surprise and pain flashed in his eyes. The audience began to whisper, some pulling out phones to record. The secondary hosts, usually stationed backstage, exchanged uneasy looks. One of them, Lorraine's young assistant Emma, nervously adjusted her microphone, trying to appear relaxed. "Lorraine," Keanu said slowly, his voice steadier but firmer than before. "I don't think it's marketing. I just live my life the best I can. If people see something good in that, I'm glad. But I'm not playing a role." The audience gasped. Lorraine leaned back, her smile widening but now tinged with tension. "Oh, come on, Keanu, don't you ever feel the pressure? You know, all these expectations, to be perfect, to be a hero. That must be exhausting. Or maybe you just don't want to admit you have a darker side?" The sound engineer in the corner of the studio snapped his head toward the producer, who gestured to keep filming. The cameras hummed, capturing every moment. Emma tried to intervene, smiling nervously. I think we all appreciate Keanu's authenticity, don't we? But her voice trembled, and Lorraine ignored her, keeping her eyes locked on Keanu. Keanu glanced at Emma, as if thanking her for the support, then turned back to Lorraine. Pressure? Sure, it's there. But I'm not perfect, and I've never claimed to be. I just try to do what I think is right. Lorraine snorted, her tone now openly provocative. Doing what's right? Like avoiding serious issues? You steer clear of politics, activism, anything that might tarnish your nice guy image. Why? Are you afraid people will see the real Keanu? The audience gasped again, louder this time. Someone in the back shouted, That's too much. Another voice, quieter, muttered, She's got a point, why does he dodge? The cameras buzzed, operators scrambling to switch between close-ups of Keanu and Lorraine. The producer backstage, in a headset, began whispering frantically, but it was too late. The tension in the studio was palpable, like static electricity before a storm. The Lorraine Kelly studio was on the verge of exploding. The tension that had been building from Lorraine's provocative questions filled the air like the calm before a storm. The cameras hummed, zooming in on Keanu Reeves, who sat on the sofa, his fists clenched. His gaze, usually calm and contemplative, was now intense, though he still tried to maintain control. The audience, which had been buzzing with excitement earlier, sat in strained silence, with only occasional whispers and the rustle of clothing breaking it. Some were already holding up phones, recording every moment, sensing this could go viral. Lorraine Kelly, feeling the weight of the cameras, leaned even closer to Keanu, her voice sharper, almost accusatory. So, Keanu, you say you're just doing the right thing. But let's be honest. She paused for effect, her eyes gleaming. You avoid tough topics. Politics, social issues, global crises, you never take a stand. Why? Are you afraid people will stop seeing you as the perfect guy? Keanu took a slow breath, his shoulders twitching slightly. He looked at Lorraine, then at the audience, as if weighing whether to continue. Emma, Lorraine's assistant, nervously fiddled with a pen, her face a mix of panic and discomfort. She tried to intervene again, her voice shaky. Maybe we can talk about the film? Keanu, tell us how you prepared for the stunts. But Lorraine waved her hand dismissively, her eyes never leaving Keanu. No, Emma, let's not dodge the real conversation. People want to know who Keanu really is, not just his stunts. She turned back to him, her smile almost challenging. So, Keanu, what are you hiding? Are you just playing the Good Samaritan to make everyone love you? The whispers in the audience grew louder. Someone shouted, Leave him alone! Another voice, quieter, muttered, She's right, why does he avoid it? The cameras hummed, operators scrambling to switch between close-ups of Keanu and Lorraine. The producer backstage, a man in a sharp suit, gestured frantically, whispering into his headset, Keep her in frame, but don't lose his reaction. Keanu leaned back in the sofa, his face still calm but his eyes betraying a deep weariness. He rubbed his chin, as if considering how to respond. Lorraine, he said slowly, his voice carrying a quiet strength. I'm not hiding anything. I just believe you don't need to shout your beliefs for them to matter. I do what I can in my life and my work. If that doesn't meet someone's expectations, that's not my problem. The audience erupted in applause, but Lorraine didn't back down. She raised her hand, calling for silence, her tone growing more sarcastic. Of course, that's convenient, Keanu. Just say, it's not my problem. But when you're a star of your caliber, people expect more. You could change the world if you wanted to. Why don't you? Are you afraid of stepping up and falling off your pedestal? The silence in the studio became deafening. Even the sound of the cameras seemed to quiet. Keanu clenched his jaw, his fingers tapping nervously on his knee. The camera zoomed in on his face, catching a slight quiver at the corner of his mouth, a sign his patience was wearing thin. The producer backstage stood abruptly, his face pale as he realized the situation was spiraling out of control. Lorraine. Keanu leaned forward, his voice firmer now. I'm not afraid of falling. I just don't think my life or my actions need to justify anyone's expectations. You want to know why I don't shout about politics or activism? Because I believe real change starts with simple things: respect, kindness, support. I'm not playing games for ratings. The audience erupted in applause again, louder this time. Someone in the back shouted, "Bravo, Keanu!" But Lorraine wasn't done. She leaned back, crossing her arms, her smile now cold. Respect and kindness are great, but they don't solve problems, Keanu. You're dodging responsibility. People see you as a hero, but maybe you just don't want to bear the weight of real leadership. Her words hit like a slap. Keanu froze, his gaze darkening. Emma tried to intervene again, her voice almost pleading. I think we all respect what Keanu does in his own way. But Lorraine cut her off, her eyes still locked on Keanu. No, Emma, let's not hide behind politeness. Keanu, tell us the truth. Are you just afraid that taking a stand will show you're not as perfect as everyone thinks? The studio fell silent. Even the cameras seemed to hold their breath. Keanu slowly stood from the sofa, his movements deliberate but charged with tension. The audience held its breath, sensing the climax approaching. Keanu stood, staring at Lorraine, his eyes burning with a quiet but unyielding resolve. The studio was cloaked in tense silence, broken only by the click system of heels from a security guard approaching the stage. The cameras scrambled to capture every gesture. The producer backstage, clutching his headset, whispered frantically, "This is a disaster, but keep rolling." Lorraine. Keanu began, his voice low but resonating through the studio like thunder. You want the truth? Here it is. I'm not perfect. I've never been, and I don't want to be. I've lost people I loved. I've fought my demons. But I don't use that as an excuse to tear others down or play games for ratings. He paused, his gaze sweeping over the audience, who listened in rapt silence. I believe real strength isn't shouting your beliefs, it's living them. Every day. In every action. And if you think that's weakness, that's your problem, not mine. The audience erupted in applause, some standing and shouting words of support. Emma, the assistant, covered her mouth, her eyes glistening with tears. Lorraine, for the first time, looked shaken. Her smile vanished, and she clutched her notes, scrambling for a response. Keanu, She started, but he raised a hand, stopping her. Enough, Lorraine. I came here to talk about my film, not to justify myself to you or anyone else. If you want a show, put it on without me. With that, Keanu turned and walked toward the exit. His steps were steady but unhurried, each click of his boots on the floor echoing in the silent studio. The audience broke into mixed reactions, some cheered, others whispered, and many kept filming on their phones. The security guard, nearing the stage, froze, unsure of what to do. Lorraine sat stunned, her hands trembling as she tried to regain control. Well, that was unexpected, she muttered, forcing a smile. We'll be back after the break. Keanu Reeves exited the stage, his figure disappearing behind the heavy black curtains. The sound of his footsteps still echoed in the studio as the cameras hurriedly panned to Lorraine Kelly. She sat clutching her notes, her smile forced and almost brittle. The audience was in chaos. Some clapped loudly in support of Keanu, while others whispered, upset by his departure. Someone in the back rows shouted, That was harsh, Lorraine! The cameras buzzed, capturing every glance, every gesture. Emma, Lorraine's assistant, nervously adjusted her hair, trying to fill the silence. Well, that was something, wasn't it? Emma stammered, but her voice was drowned out by the audience's murmurs. Lorraine raised her hand sharply, calling for quiet. All right, let's calm down, she said, her voice trembling but striving to regain control. Keanu clearly has his own views, and we respect that. But the show must go on. Her words rang hollow. The producer backstage, a man with gray hair and a tense expression, gestured frantically, instructing the operators to switch to a wide shot of the studio. But it was too late. The moment had already gone viral. Phones in the audience's hands flashed, recording the final seconds of the confrontation. Social media exploded. Clips of Keanu's speech and Lorraine's stunned expression spread like wildfire. The studio gradually quieted, but the tension lingered. Lorraine attempted to move on to the next segment, but her usual energy was gone. Emma, sensing the awkwardness, began talking about the next guest, but the audience was only half listening. Everyone was thinking about Keanu, his words, his dignity, his exit. Backstage, a security guard escorted Keanu to his dressing room. He walked in silence, his face calm but his eyes betraying exhaustion. The producer caught up with him, whispering, "Keanu, we didn't mean for this to happen." But Keanu raised a hand, stopping him. "It's fine," he said quietly. "I said what I needed to say." The next day, the video of the confrontation flooded the internet. The hashtag Keanu vs. Lorraine became the top trend. Social media erupted with debates. Some accused Lorraine of crossing the line, while others argued she was just doing her job, provoking for ratings. Keanu's fans praised his sincerity and strength, while Lorraine's critics called her callous. The media seized the story, with headlines like, "Keanu Reeves storms off show after offensive questions," and "Did Lorraine Kelly go too far?" Lorraine's reputation took a hit. Though her show retained its ratings, many viewers expressed disappointment in her behavior. She issued a statement apologizing if anyone misunderstood her intentions, but it only fueled the fire. Keanu, meanwhile, remained silent on the matter, and his silence only deepened the public's respect for him. Fans shared old videos of him helping strangers or sharing food with the homeless, reminding everyone that his kindness was more than just an image. This conflict became more than just a television moment, it was a lesson. Keanu reminded the world that true strength lies in staying true to oneself, even under provocation. His words about respect and kindness as the foundation for change resonated with millions. So, what do you think? Did Keanu do the right thing by walking off the show? Was Lorraine justified in her questions? Share your thoughts in the comments and join the conversation.